Today we're going to be talking about what are called box and whisker plots. As mathematicians, we often try to group things together, get nice visuals of where things sit and how they compare to each other, and I've been that way for a long time. I want to tell a quick story that relates to the box and whisker plots about when I was a little kid and I had a plate of brownies that was in front of me. Now, I was tasked with cutting these plate of brownies. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I remember starting over here on the left and I was trying to get them into 4 slices, and I said 1, 2, 3, and by the time I was done, I had this gigantic brownie over on this side. Now, if I could sneak that brownie away and eat it for myself, that wouldn't be a big deal. But if people noticed, then they would start to maybe bicker over who gets the bigger brownie, and there'd be all sorts of problems, and it'd just be awful. So I developed a way of cutting brownies that ended up being a little bit easier for me, and I want to show you that, and that's going to be related to our box and whisker plots. For me, it's easiest if I find the exact center first. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut it down right here in the middle, and that divides it so that there is 50% of the brownie over on this side and 50% of the brownie over on that side. Now, I can do that exact same thing with this side and with this side and cut it into 4 nice, easy pieces. So I'm going to cut it down here in the middle, and I'm going to cut it down here in the middle. And I found that when I did it in that order, I was able to get a nice, even plate of brownies, and everybody got the same amount. Well, when you cut this 50% on into the 4 pieces now, each one of those has 25% of the brownies in it. So we've got 25%, 25%, and if we do it exactly right, everybody gets exactly the same amount of brownie. With our data, we do this with box and whisker plots, and we've actually already started this process. We cut our data exactly in half earlier with what's called the median. So we've already done that process. Over here on the very left side, we have our smallest number, which we call the minimum. Over here on the right-hand side, we have our largest number, which we call the maximum. And when the numbers are all in order, these are very easy to find. We've developed that skill already. These 2 spots are new, but they're the same process. If I've cut this in half, I can ignore this side of the data and then just cut this one in half, and I find this piece right here. Well, this we call the first quartile. First quartile. And over here, we do the same thing. We're going to ignore that half right there. We're just going to look from here to here, and we're going to cut it exactly in half. We're going to find the median. So we have to do that process 3 times. And this one we call the third quartile. Alrighty. Often people ask me, what happened to the second quartile? It's actually right here, the second quartile. And if you wanted to, you could call this one the 4th quartile. But we have different names for them already. So you usually won't hear the second quartile used or the 4th quartile. We call them the median and the maximum right there. Okay, when we're done with that, we're going to draw a box around this, and we're going to draw whiskers out to the edge. So let's go over and take a look at some data and do that. So we can see a box and whisker plot, an example picture right here. This is probably not what that one's going to look like, but just to kind of give you an idea where we've got the 4 categories. 1, 2, 3, 4, and each of these areas, as you recall, has 25% of the data in it. 25% here, 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 and here, 25%. So there's the same amount of data in this really stretched out area as there is in this tiny, close together area. That simply means that it's nice and spread out over here, and it's squished in. The numbers are grouped closely together right there. So each one of these has exactly the same amount of data points. All right, so we're going to work with these numbers. It's difficult when they're out of order. So I've already taken these and I've put them in order for you. We're first going to find the minimum and the maximum and the median. The minimum's easy. It's right here on the left since we put them in order. So there's our minimum. The maximum, again, is easy because it's over on the right side. And then the median, we're going to go to the middle. So I'm going to cross these off with my little slash marks here. Find the number that's in the middle. Okay, so what's in between here? That would be our median. That would be 20.5. So our median is 20.5. All right, to find the first quartile and the third quartile, we're just going to look at these numbers and then these numbers separately from each other. So I'm going to ignore the top ones, and I'm going to find the median for those four numbers down here. So that same process, we're going to cross these off, and we find out that the middle is in between 17 and 18, so that happens to be 17.5. So we just found the median of these four numbers. We call this our first quartile, which often is abbreviated 1Q right there. Same process right here, cross off those, and our median is in between here, so that would be 22.5, and we call this one our third quartile. I'll abbreviate it as 3Q. The last part of our process is just to put these on a number line and draw the box and whiskers. So when I draw my number line, I need to make sure that I cover everything here. So it's got to go all the way down to at least 16. So I'm going to put a 16 over here on this end. If you go below that, it's not going to hurt. We need to go all the way up to 25. So I'm going to put a 25 over here on this end, and if you go above that, it's also not going to hurt. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Didn't give myself enough space, so we'll push this over, 24, 25, right to there. All right, I'm going to put a point, a dot, at each one of these numbers, these 5 numbers. So our minimum has a dot, and I'm going to put that above the number line so I can see the picture hovering above the number line. Our first quartile is at 17.5, so here's 17, 18, 17.5 would be in between those. Our median is at 20.5, so 19, 20, 21, 20.5 would be here. Our third quartile is at 22.5, which would be right here. And our maximum will be here at 25. We need to draw our box around the middle. So there's going to be a line here, a box around those 3, with the line in the middle of the box for the median. And our whiskers are drawn out to here. Sometimes people leave these as dots, and sometimes you'll see them drawn with vertical lines. It doesn't matter either way. All right, let's double check, make sure we have the same amount of numbers in each one. 16 and 17 are here, so there's 2 numbers there, 2 numbers there, 2 numbers there, and 2 numbers there. So these have been split equally into 4 different parts. You can see that these are closer together, these are more spread out, closer together, a little bit more spread out. So it gives us a nice picture of how that data is broken down. Thank you.